Things that make you go, mmm. And today we are talking about charm. Because charm is something that makes me go, mmm, and often makes others go, mmm, as well. And we talked about flirting last week. And the topic of charm came up as part of flirting because charm and flirting can be very similar, or flirting can be part of charm, and people who flirt are often charming. So I wanted to cover charm separately so that we could dive into that a little bit more. And I want to start off with some definitions. The first one being what charm is. So charm is the power or quality of delighting, attracting, or fascinating others. And if you've ever been around someone who's charming, you totally get that definition, because they make other people, feel really good about themselves, about being around them, about being with them, because their presence is so delightful. Charm and charisma are often used interchangeably, but they're a little bit different. So charisma is compelling attractiveness or charm. So charm is part of charisma that can inspire devotion in others. So whereas charm is more of a drawing people in when you enter a room, being a source of conversation or a catalyst for conversation, charisma is more about drawing people in and making them want to follow you. So often leaders are generally charismatic, and political leaders, business leaders, all those kinds of people generally have charisma. Another type of person that has charisma that isn't so great is our serial killers. They are often very charismatic as well, because they draw people in, and they want to, and the people that they draw in want to be close to them and be devoted to them, and then they end up in a very poor situation. Thirdly, there's the definition for smarmy or smarm, because sometimes someone who thinks they're charming are actually smarmy, or they just push it too far and they become smarmy. So smarm is to behave in an ingratiating way in order to gain favor. So whereas charm is more about the other person, about drawing them in, about making them feel good, about getting to know them, smarm is more about, I'm going to be really super nice to you and treat you well and remember your name so that you will do stuff for me. So we definitely don't want to go into the smarmy territory. We want to stay in the charm category. And I looked up an article, and it was 20 ways that you may be charming and not even know it. So a lot of people who are charming don't realize that they are. It's just the way they are. They're used to being the light in the room, and it's just natural to them. And at the same time, if you want to be more charming, you can develop these traits. And they're a lot very similar to a lot of the things we've talked about, similar to a lot of the things around flirting and being passionate and all those other things that make us sexy, that make us bright lights in the world, and make me and other people around and yourself go, because it's just so wonderful to have those kinds of people in our lives. So let's go through these 20 things. Actually, not all 20. I didn't write them all down, but almost all of them. And if you want to look it up, just the search that I used was what it means to be charming, and it was the first article that came up. So feel free to look that up yourself. First one is sincere. In order to be charming and not smarmy, you'd absolutely have to be sincere. Because people sometimes insincerity can be misread as sincerity, but not for long. We tend as humans to be able to see through to the real truth behind a person very quickly. So definitely be sincere when you're with people. Don't play games. Don't um, make things up. Don't try to make them feel better. Just be real. Just be sincere. Be yourself. Another one is with charm is to be attentive. We, you know, make eye contact, which we've talked about before. Uh, Pay attention to what they're saying, and just really be present with the person. So being attentive, being patient. Impatience is definitely not charming. You want people to, you want to be clear. You don't want people to feel like they're rushing you. That you need to be somewhere else. That you need to get out of that situation. You need to. So being patient with people is definitely very charming. Being positive. We've talked about positivity before, and being negative in any situation does not come across well. Uh, Another article that I read was talking. The guy was talking about his very charming friend and his very annoying neighbor, who every single thing that you talk to him about, he would say something negative. So, uh, beautiful weather today. He would say, "Oh yeah, it's going to rain later," you know, and everything was just it was just a conflict and a negativity. So it's so not charming. Does not make me go either. Being non-judgmental. We are judgment machines as people. We see, we can't help it. It's a survival mechanism to be to judge. We need to be able to know if a situation is dangerous, or if when we're hungry, when we're thirsty, if we're attracted to someone. And so judgment is just natural. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It just is. However, the way we respond to it and what we say when those judgments come through our mind is what affects those around us. So feel free to have your judgments, but keep them to yourself, especially if they are not positive, which we just talked about. So keeping that that space of openness and what's the word I want? Of being, open and just available to what's around you. Because if you jump right into judgment right away, you're not being you're not allowing conversation to occur, and you're just putting your own spin on things before you even get a chance to learn more. Don't seek attention. Charming people are all about the other person. So it's not about you. It's not about them paying attention to you. It's about you making them feel better. And that's part of the smarmy versus charm thing as well. because the smarmy people, they want you to pay attention to them because they want something from you. So let's stay with the charming so we can all be together. Charming people also have an open mind. They are open to new ideas. They're open to new thoughts and new situations. So keep your mind open. I was going to say, so keep that in mind to have an open mind. And charming people also have a sense of humor. They don't take life too seriously. Things happen, things come and go, thoughts come and go, judgments come and go. It's just realize that it doesn't need to be any big onerous thing all the time. It's just go with the flow. Don't sweat the small stuff. Keep calm, carry on. All of those lovely expressions. Praise others. Give them compliments. Tell them how amazing they are. Tell them that you appreciate them. All of those things are very, very, very charming. make a good, charming people make a very good first impression. They they make eye contact, they smile, and they are open right off the bat, which makes people draws people in and makes them go, oh, that person's kind of charming. Do acts of kindness. That can be anything. Just like we were talking about last week with the love languages, acts of service. Think about things that would serve the other person, and that will be very charming. They're very composed in tough situations. There are people who fly off the handle. There are people who get anxious. There are people who curl up into a little ball when something difficult happens. But charming people will stay composed, will stay present, will find solutions. Charming people also remember names. Simple, but not simple. I will admit I am awful with names. Unless someone has made a real impression on me or I've spoken to them many times, generally, I apologize. I will generally probably forget your name. So I guess I'm not especially charming. I will remember your pets' names for sure, but I might forget yours. And charming people are very considerate. They'll open doors for you. They will be kind to you. They'll do nice things for you. They'll just be considerate, and they'll remember things about your life. In that other article that I read, with the nice neighbor and the nice coworker, or the nasty neighbor and the nice coworker, he was talking about going into the dry cleaner and how even though he went to the same dry cleaner, he had no idea who any of these people were. And his friend walked in and called everybody by name and asked them how their kids were doing and made comments about the latest basketball game, because he knew that one of the people was a big fan, and just all those tiny little things that may seem insignificant are keys to being charming. And the biggest key to being charming is empathy. All of those things rolled up together are about empathy, about caring, about being a generous person, just in spirit. And one last point about charm. A lot of people tend to use the word charming when they're talking about men more than women, which is a sociological thing, which of course bears a discussion all on its own. But just because someone may call a man who acts similar to a woman, may call him charming and may not call the woman charming, doesn't mean that she's not. It just means that the impression is different for whatever reason. We're not going to go into that. But just practice those things that we've talked about so that you can be charming, so that you can draw people in, so that you can make them go, in your presence. And everyone will feel better for it, including yourself. If you don't feel like you're charming, go through that list and see how many of those actually apply to you. And you might discover that, maybe I am more charming than I think. Or you may find something that you need to work on, like me in remembering names. And I challenge you. I'm going to start giving you homework in these. You can take it, you cannot. You can tell me I'm full of it, whatever you want. But if you want to, feel free to find at least one thing on the charming list that you can work on and set a small goal about it. Mine would be to find a way to be more present with people when they tell me their names, so that I will remember. Whether I need a mnemonic device, whether I write it down, whether I repeat it to them, whether I ask the spelling, any of those things can certainly be helpful in remembering names, and that's going to be my goal. So I challenge you to set your own. And if you would like to share it with me, I'd love to hear it so that I can support you in that effort. Before I go, just a reminder, my website is thebadkitty.com, and that's where you can find my erotic novel, Serial Love. It's available on the website in a PDF version, and with the purchase of the PDF, you also get 3 gifts. So if you haven't bought it yet and you'd like to do it that way, I'd love to hear from you. Or you can buy it on Amazon, and on Amazon you can get it either in Kindle or paperback. And also on Amazon you can get a copy of my nonfiction book, The Bad Kitty Handbook, which we didn't refer to today. Didn't refer to either books specifically, but this one is also available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a very snowy Sunday here in Edmonton. I hope you've had a good day and you are going to have a wonderful evening. Happy Sunday, and stay sexy, everybody. Bye.